Welcome to Vibrate Higher, the podcast that takes you on a transformative journey towards aligning with your higher self, unlocking the depths of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding within you. I'm your host, Joelle, mindset coach and CEO and founder of Synergy Group. I'm here to guide you on a path of self-discovery and personal growth. Each episode of Vibrate Higher is crafted with intention, combining ancient wisdom, modern insights, and practical techniques that can be applied to your everyday life. We'll explore various spiritual practices, mindfulness techniques, and self-reflection exercises, all aimed at elevating your consciousness and aligning with your higher self. Get ready to embark on an epic adventure. This is Vibrate Higher. Hi friends, it's Joelle from Synergy Group, and welcome to today's episode of Vibrate Higher. We are going to talk about how to connect with your spirit guides today. You know, I got the inspiration for this episode after I recorded the Unveiling the Veil episode about psychics versus mediums and just kind of talking through the difference between the two. I got the inspiration to record an episode teaching you how I contact my spirit guides using the method that has worked best for me over the years. And it's something that I've researched, and I am very comfortable with this method. It has always worked for me. And I want to share it with my tribe who, if you're listening to this episode, you are hungry to contact your spirit guides, and I want to help. So let's dive right in. So first, let's talk about what a spirit guide is, just because I want to make sure we are all level set on what I define as a spirit guide so that you can make sure that it aligns with what you define as a spirit guide. So a spirit guide to me can be an ancestor, meaning someone in your bloodline that possibly you didn't necessarily know because you weren't born at the time, but they are an ancestor of yours. A spirit guide can also be an angel, which an angel is a spirit or a soul that never incarnated as a human. So they are called an angel. It could be a deceased loved one. So maybe you lost a close friend, a relative, a parent, a child, a pet. Any sort of deceased loved one that has transitioned into the spirit realm can be a spirit guide. And also sometimes they can be ascended masters. So if you have a particular purpose in which you are here to uplift or build something big, or, you know, you have a particular journey that you need a master's help with, sometimes an ascended master can be a spirit guide for you. So all of these types of entities can be guides for you specifically, and they are there to quote unquote guide you and support you throughout your life. I call this like conglomeration of entities my spirit team. So I personally feel like all of us have a spirit team that is probably made up of all of these entities that I named. So it could be an ancestor, deceased loved one, an ascended master, an angel, just a regular guide. All of them can make up a spirit team, and possibly you have a few of them that are with you and they come in and guide you depending on what you need guidance on. So I think that our spirit teams are assigned to us prior to birth, and a lot of our spirit team has been with us since birth. So obviously if you had a deceased loved one or a pet, they obviously were not with you since birth because they were in your life as a human, or a pet. They were in the physical dimension with you. But when they transitioned into the spiritual world, it is highly possible that the intention, even before they came into the physical world, they were always going to be a guide for you, which is why you all connected in the physical realm. So I strongly believe that. Three key things that you want to make sure you have processed, or that you've thought through, or that you have done before you start this connection process. The first thing is you have to ask your spirit guides to help you or to connect with you. They are not going to automatically come in and take control and do whatever they want to do. That's not how things are designed. In this dimension, as humans, we have free will. There are millions of people out there who do not believe in spirits. And so their spirit guides are just kind of chilling because the person does not believe that they exist anyway. And so they're never really asked to do anything. Now, they may come and help unbeknownst to the person, like if there's a emergency situation, or, they probably come in dreams, things like that. So they're still constantly serving. But when you can actually consciously accept and believe that your spirit guide is there for you, and because of that, you invite them in and you guys have dialogue and you give them assignments, that is how it is designed to work. And so you have such a fruitful relationship at that point, because they're there to serve and you're there to tap them and ask for guidance, and they love doing it. So the first key point is you have to ask or invite them via your free will to connect with you. 2, you have to actually believe they exist. So I just kind of touched on that, but it needs its own separate, bullet point here, because again, a lot of people don't believe it. And so if you have a belief system that blocks the connection or the emotion of a spirit guide, then it's very hard for them to connect. It's not going to happen because your conscious mind and your subconscious mind don't believe it. And so it's going to be very hard for you to allow communication and be able to truly know what's real communication and not what's in your head, if you don't truly at your core believe that they exist and that you can connect with them. And then the third bullet point before you start the connection process, to make sure that you have this in your foundation, is you have to allow. So bullet point 1 is ask, bullet point 2 is believe, and bullet point 3 is allow. And when I say allow, I mean you have to let go of any resistance and allow yourself, allow communication to come. Don't automatically assume like, well, that they didn't say that, or I'm just hearing things, or, don't second guess, just relax and allow. So those are the 3 little foundational things that I want to make sure you understand before we go into the connection process. So if you listened to the Unveiling the Veil episode, you all know that I have a staunch belief that spirits are not evil. And so my belief system is set up that I do not think that there is evil. I don't think that there are spirits that are trying to come and like take over my body when I connect with them. Those beliefs don't even exist in my mind at all. And I have been at this for over a decade, and I have not one time experienced any sort of negative situations or scary type evil, sinister things, because I don't believe they exist. And because I don't believe they exist, I don't attract that and I don't encounter it. So that is something that I want to make sure that you understand and you believe. Otherwise, all these steps and this whole concept is going to freak you out, and it's going to sound really cuckoo and woo-woo. But if you're stepping into the woo with me and you want to capitalize on your power, then let's dive in. Here are the steps that I use. The first thing that I do is I prepare my room. So the thing about spirit connection is that spirits love consistency. When you can plan to do the same thing at the same time, at the same rate of frequency, so be it every day or, 2 or 3 days a week at the same time, it helps train your spirit team and they will become more readily available because they're expecting to connect with you. And so they are doing their pre-work as well versus you not being consistent with it. And then now you're kind of like, okay, I'm ready. I want to talk to you guys. And they're like, oh, okay, well, let me gather everyone. Like it's a thing. And trust me, I've done it both ways. And so I'm letting you know right now, consistency is better. And it's not that your spirits don't want to connect with you. They always do. It's just the process can be so much smoother when they are already expecting a schedule, because then they can be prepared, like I said. And so it's not as clunky because it takes them time. They have to lower their vibration from where they are because they are at a much higher vibration in a much higher dimension than we are. So to talk with you, they've got to come down a little. So think of them on an elevator at like the 1,000th floor, and you're meeting them on like floor 500. So they've got to come all the way down 500 floors, and you've got to come all the way up 500 floors. And so if they know every day at 7:45 a.m., we got to go down to the 500th floor, they're going to be a lot more ready than if they're over there chilling, drinking coffee, hanging out. And there's like, oh crap, Joel wants to talk to us. Okay, everybody get up. Where's Tim? Where's St. Francis? Get Gabriel. Like, we're all going. Like, it's no one, that's rude. So you just want to be able to set a schedule. So a long way to say set a schedule. All right, so step one. I prepare my room, and I brought up the consistent time because if you know that you're going to do this at a certain time or a certain day, then you kind of already know what you want to prepare. So if it's going to be in the evening, you maybe want to have your lights low, but you want to prepare your surroundings where you are not going to be interrupted. So if you need to lock the door, close the blinds, whatever works for you best. But get your room prepared to where you are not going to be interrupted. Put your phone and your electronics on do not disturb so that you're not getting phone calls and dings and things like that in between. Step 2, prepare mentally. What I mean by that is quiet your mind. So it's not as easy when you're first starting out, especially to just be able to close the door and close the curtains and sit down and say, okay, connect me, because your mind is constantly working. Your conscious mind is, and you have to quiet it. And that takes practice in and of itself. And meditation is the best practice for that. So I recommend you should be meditating anyway for 15 minutes every day, preferably in the morning. But prior to spirit connection, you should do a quick meditation. There is a chakra meditation that I do daily, and I'll put it in the links. It's a quick 10-minute one, 10 minutes, 43 seconds to be exact. And it kind of just quiets you and it gets all your chakras in the line. It's just kind of like a little pre-workout, if you will, before you kind of get into the gym and really start doing some practicing. So you want to prepare mentally, meaning probably do a short little meditation so you can get your mind quiet and get your vibration starting to rise, like we're climbing to floor 500. So step 3. If you are trying to contact a specific loved one, I recommend having something of theirs around. So for instance, when I want to chat with my mom, I will put on one of her rings on my finger. So that is kind of bringing in the energies a little more. It's the ring she used to wear all the time. So if you have anything, it doesn't have to be jewelry. It can be any article of theirs. If you want to sit it near you, if you're trying to contact a specific deceased loved one. If you're not, don't worry about having anything out. That's just a little pro tip. Step 4, you want to have a little notepad that you want to write out your questions. And really only one question. I did not have luck writing out like 5 questions to be answered. I recommend doing this, especially when you're starting out. I would do this every day for like 15 days. So just start with one question. So you want to write your question out ahead of time. And the way that I would address it would be one, if I'm contacting a specific deceased loved one, I would put their name. So if it's, your grandmother, you're going to put their first and last name. Or if you just want to connect with anyone on your spirit team, I normally will put spirit for my highest good, period. And then I'd say whatever my question is, what should I do about my new career path that I'm thinking about? Whatever the question is, let it be a specific question, but you want to start it out with a deceased loved one's name or spirit for my highest good, and then write the question out. This helps both of you. One, it's because you're setting an intention already. And then two, it helps your spirit guides as well, because as you're getting into this practice and into this like new mode of connecting, you don't want anything to be left to chance where your guides are having to like try and guess of the million thoughts you got going on if you haven't really 100% quieted your mind. Like, you want to be clear for them. So I would write out the one question that you want for that particular time. Step 5, close your eyes. And step 6 would be, when I close my eyes, I immediately will say what I call a prayer for elements. So you want to, invite. So spirit for my highest good, my ancestors, angels, deceased loved ones, or ascended masters, I want to invite you to visit with me today. I want to put a white light of protection around me. I want to pray for wisdom and guidance, and I want this session to be for my highest good. So that's kind of my quick prayer of 4 elements. And it's really just setting the intention again of like what I'm trying to accomplish and getting my energy set. All of this is helping raise my vibration. And I'm doing all of this in my head. You can say it out loud. I just don't. But I'm saying it in my head. I'm saying it in my space that I have prepared with my question written out on a little notepad or a piece of paper, however I want to do it. If you want to light a candle, you can light a candle. You don't have to. I'm closing my eyes. I've said my prayer for elements, and then I wait. So as you wait, your job now is to just raise your vibration. And when I say that, I mean you're quieting your mind, and you do this by deep breathing. So I like to take really deep breaths in through my nose. And sometimes I don't do it now, but initially I would kind of count really silently, like to 5 or 6, slow. And then I'd hold my breath for a few seconds, and then I let it out. And then I'll repeat that a few times, like 3 or 4 times, and you'll feel your vibration raise. Maybe you'll start feeling a tingling, you start feeling yourself relax. But if you are a person that is able to connect with spirits this way, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, it's going to happen quick. Like, you'll start to feel your vibration, and you just wait patiently. Do not set a timer for this, guys, because you can't put a time on this. It's all going to depend on your vibration and how quickly it takes you to raise it. And there's no race. As you continue to do this more frequently, you will learn, this will be faster. But these first 15 days, this is you training yourself. So don't get frustrated. Don't think that if it takes too long, then you don't really have the ability, or you're second guessing yourself. You're second guessing your guides. Don't do that. You're training yourself on a new technique, and you're tapping into power that you've never touched before consciously. So it's a learning curve, and for yourself and for your spirit team. So I'm saying that this step of waiting there's no time for it. The quickest way, in my opinion, is breath work. That's the deep breathing in. I count, I hold your breath at the top for a few seconds, and then let it out. And the more that you do that, the more you will feel yourself relax and your vibration raise. So it's very similar to a meditation. The difference is you have an intention. So as you continue to deep breathe, I mean, this could take 5 minutes. It could take longer, but you will start to feel communication. You'll feel a sensation. You may start to feel, for me, it's like a presence come in where I know that I'm not alone anymore. So I particularly feel just like an added, and this is going to sound weird, but it probably won't because you're my tribe if you're listening to this episode, but it's going to feel like you have another person there. Like they've come, for me, I'm a medium. So when my spirits connect with me, they come in through my back. And I always use the example of Whoopi Goldberg and Ghost. Like they'll step in. And so for me, it literally feels like someone else is sitting with me. So I know when they're there. And so when you feel this goes back to the allow bullet point from earlier. There's nothing to be scared of. You've set the space for this. You've got a white light of protection. You know that these are your spirits for your highest good. You've got a question. You've raised your vibration. Now you're on level 500. They've come down to level 500. So now we're ready to hang. So you allow. We're ready to chat. We're ready to hang out. We're ready to just kind of like have our connection, our communication. So don't tense up. Continue to breathe and just allow that spirit to come in and to that communication and get used to it. See how it feels. For me, it is amazing. The best way that I can try to describe this, if I had to put it into words, and again, this is just for me. If you guys ever been to like a spa and you've had the best treatment, like the best massage where you were like, so relaxed and like almost in another world, like you were in that like twilight-y sleep. You weren't like sleep, but you just were like, oh my gosh. And that massage is done and you're like laying on the table and the masseuse has left the room and they're like, your robe is here. We'll be right back. And you are like finally kind of like stirring and you're sitting up and that like exhilarating peacefulness that you feel. That's how it feels to me when I'm connecting with spirit. It's like that's the best way that I can put it into words. And those are just my words. So, as the communication is there, you want to then open your eyes and don't be scared. Like if you open your eyes, the spirit's going to leave. No, because you've allowed. You've given them permission and you've allowed. So you want to have your pen and paper because you should be then getting downloads. And I'm calling them downloads because that's the best name for them, where you're hearing. So depending on your clair, which again, go back to my clairs episode if you don't know what a clair is, because it'll give you a breakdown. But depending on which one of your clairs is your strongest few is what your guides are going to use to communicate with you, because that's how they have access to talk to you. So if you are clairvoyant, which is clear seeing, then you may start to get visions. They may be in color. They may look like a movie, like you're watching back a preview of a movie, like stuff's happening vividly. Maybe you're watching yourself do something or related to whatever the answer to your question is, more than likely. So maybe you're seeing pictures. Maybe you're seeing like flashes, like Polaroids of this, and it's kind of like a knowing where you're understanding what's being shown to you. If you're clairaudient or clear hearing, maybe you don't see anything. Maybe you just hear a voice talking. So, and your guides are working with you too. They are learning how to communicate with you using your strengths. I know for me, clairaudient is one of my clairs, and my spirit team, they like to play songs for me. So they kind of pull into my library of songs that I know in my head. And a lot of times they will speak to me through that. So, I'll try and give you guys a good example. I had asked my grandmother to come in one time and I was having a visit with her. And I remember her, and she is my dad's mom. And so my dad at the time was still alive. And my dad and his brother, my uncle, they had a lot of like drama and resentment with my grandmother. It was just a mess. So anyway, I was talking to her about that because I was trying to be the mindset coach that I am and like help them help themselves. Like, hey, your mother's gone. You got to kind of get over your shit. Anyway, so I was asking my grandmother a specific question. Why did you, when you were in the physical form, why did you let this happen? And my grandmother played a song for me. And the song was, I think it's like a Wiz Khalifa song, like, I'm only human, please forgive me, Father, I didn't, something about, basically it was saying like, I was only human at the time, please forgive me, I could not, I that's just who I was at the time, and forgive me for that. And like, she didn't say that to me. They played a song, and that's how I knew what she was communicating to me. So you have to be aware of even the little things. If you're clairaudient, they may just pull songs from your library. Understand what it means. And if you don't at the time, write it down and continue to let the communication play out. And then when you're done with the session, go back and look up the words, which is what I had to do with the Wiz Khalifa song. I knew the melody and I kind of understood the but I was like, I don't know what they're saying in the song, but I kept hearing, forgive me, Father, I'm only human. And I was like, I got to go back and look that up. But I wrote it down like Wiz Khalifa, human, and we kept communicating. And afterwards, I looked up the words, and I'm like sobbing, crying when I understood the chorus and what that was about in relation to my question. And then I was able to piece it together, and then I could go back to my dad and uncle, and I could have some conversations with them. So I know that was a long way around, guys, but that's important for you to understand how those communications go, because I think a common myth is that when you're connecting with spirits, it's got to be some like horror movie crazy shit where they're talking to you like that. And that's not the case at all. This is how our dimensions were designed. This is how things were designed to communicate. And so we have to normalize this, because it is not something that we have to be afraid of. And we also need to understand that it is not what society has shown us on movies and things like that. A lot of that is to perpetuate a spirit of fear, because they don't want you being able to tap into your power and use these things, because then you wouldn't need them. So anywho, that's my little 2 cents. So at this time in our connection process, you should be getting communication from your spirit guides or your deceased loved one in an answer to your question that you have written out for them. It is important to kind of let all the communication come. And like I said, if you want to ask a follow-up question, you can try to. It's really going to depend on your spirit team and how you guys are communicating. Sometimes, especially in the beginning, you may not get an answer to that follow-up question until later, maybe the next day. But either way, you can try it. If not, let the communication come, continue to write things down, and then you'll kind of know when it's done, when the communication is done, because you'll just kind of naturally feel like, okay, I think we're done. And so when you know and feel that that particular session is done, you want to thank your spirit guides for coming, because that's just, you do. You love them. Think about this. They've been with you since before you were born. Or if it's a deceased loved one, they've been with you while you were here on the physical realm. So you want to just, hey, thank you guys for coming today. I really enjoyed you. I love you guys. So tell them thank you. And then from there, you want to just kind of close the session out like, okay, session's closed. Open your eyes. And then you kind of want to relax. And in my opinion, do not get up and go do something immediately. Take your time and make sure that you kind of decode that message, or at least have most of it written down. Because the minute you start going back to your conscious waking mind and, making dinner or breakfast or talking on the phone, you will not remember as many details as you think you will. So make sure that you've written down as much as you can. If you have that time, once you know everything's written down, then this is the time, like, go look up song lyrics if they played a song for you, or write out more detail of whatever picture you saw if you are clairvoyant and you got like all these visions. So that is my connection method that I use. I did a lot of research, and that is what works best for me. So if this is you starting to want to learn how to connect with your guides, I would say try it this way and then modify it. You know, as you see fit, what works for you and your spirit team works. This is just the outline for you as to what you can do to kind of start with it. I recommend it because remember, like I said before, you have to train these muscles, and meaning yours, your mind, training it how to be quiet when you need it to, training yourself on how to raise your vibration. And then you're also training in tandem, like with your spirit team, in terms of consistency, meaning how often you do this and how long, as well as you're training them on how to communicate with you. Research the clairs. And this way, if you continue with this connection method, you will then also, you're going to be practicing how to train your clairs into becoming stronger because they're being used more. And so then when you're in your conscious waking state, you can use them more and allow them more because you're training yourself. So it's kind of a win-win there. So that is all I have for you today. I hope that you are vibrating a little higher now than you were when you first joined me. I hope this episode gave you life, and I will talk to you all soon.